The Amazing Race Season 38, Episode 2. Let's talk about it. And let's talk about it quickly because I'm behind, so I'm getting caught up here. We start off with the teams that are traveling by train to Prague, Czech Republic. Going into this episode, I'm thinking like, okay, like let's see what Czech Republic's about. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I was really excited to see what types of competitions that they would be doing. So JJ they came in first, so they're leaving first, and right behind them is Eric and Tucker. And immediately Eric and Tucker are like, hey, we're teaming up with them. Smart move, boys, because JJ are the pack leaders. JJ are the team that's going to be running this season. I'm calling it now. I cannot see them falling behind. I really can't see them getting eliminated anytime soon. Like I said, both of them are just super just adaptable and have so many strengths. And then they're both like kind of similar. Like there's just like a very evenly yoked, strong pair. So I wasn't surprised to see Eric and Tucker working with JJ because you might as well, and you guys can make it to the final three amongst each other. We did see a lot of team collaboration this episode, and if I'm being honest, I'm not a fan. I felt like the competition is a little bit too friendly. So there's like six teams that all get, train tickets for the first train. And following kind of the herd mentality, they all get off at the wrong station. They get off a stop earlier than they were supposed to, just not paying attention. And then everybody just following each other. And then panic ensues. Okay. Okay. What do we need to do? Do we just get back on and get on the next one or get new tickets? And there were different strategies employed, but just the fact that these teams are really, really just like helping each other a lot in the beginning. I think a lot of it has to do with the pre-existing relationships, people that played together on Big Brother or just know each other from the Big Brother universe and now that they're friends. But this is a competition. I know it's a little too early to be like, or maybe it's not. I want to see some dirty play. I don't care. I want to see some backstabbing. I want to see some nope, can't help you. Just sorry, or ignoring and just like running past. Like I want to see the competitiveness is I guess what I'm trying to say, because everybody's playing like really nicey and helping each other out. And this is for $1 million. Okay. Ain't nobody splitting that money with you. So I want to see some more cutthroat moves coming from the players. I don't like just in general with the Amazing Race when the teams are, like working in groups and traveling in packs too much. I just think it takes away from the competitive spirit of the game. After they have the mix up with getting off at the wrong stop, we see amongst those teams, they kind of break off into two separate groups. So we have Natalie and Stephanie, JJ, and Joseph and Adam. They end up getting new tickets to arrive earlier, like about an hour and 23 minutes earlier than the original, train ticket and the original route that they had chosen, which I mean, it was a mistake, but it ends up being a good thing that puts them in even better position. So I was excited to see that. The other teams, they end up just getting back on the train and continuing and following the same path. So they arrive, I think it was like 9:23 a.m., whereas the first teams that I mentioned arrived at 8 a.m. Now, the second wave of teams that are departing much later, that's going to be Kyland and Taylor, Angela and Lexi, Kat and Alex. They are in trouble because their train, they thought it was delayed. That bad boy was canceled. Okay. Find somewhere, find another route, find another train, figure something else out. They are completely on their own, having to start from scratch and figure out, okay, how are we going to get to Prague? What are we going to do? So this is really good news for Matt and Megan because they were in last place. So they end up catching up to those last three teams and they all end up taking the same train together and arriving in Prague at the same time. So it's one of those things that we like seeing in the Amazing Race. There's things that are out of their control very, very often. Usually we see it with air travel. Now we're seeing it with trains. And I'm telling you, like if I was playing and that train was canceled, oh, yeah, it's just one of those things like what can you do? We got to make a plan B. We got to get there somehow, but I can only imagine how frustrating that is to be in that position and you're just like, "Oh my gosh, like it's not even late. It's just not even happening tonight." So now I got to figure out something else. The first roadblock that we see, and like I said, I always like to try to like just anticipate or guess in my own head just by reading this clue without seeing what it is on the TV yet. Would I volunteer to do it? Would I want to do it? And the roadblock clue asked, who wants a breath of fresh air? And you could always like look around for context clues and kind of get an idea of what you think the roadblock is going to be. So there was like this really, really tall tower, and it did have, I think they were like infants or toddlers that like, you know, like sculptures of them that were like climbing up the side of it. I would have looked at that and thought that we were rappelling down. And like, that sounds super fun to me. But you don't know. I would probably breath of fresh air, you know, I would anticipate that it has something to do with heights. I'm not afraid of heights. Sometimes I can be a little height hesitant. Like I'll be like, for like a few seconds and I'm like, all right, I'm good. So if I were running this with my amazing race partner, Gio, I would have already volunteered to do the first roadblock. For this one, I would have been either or. Like if you would have been like, I'll do it. I'm like, okay, we're kind of keeping it even, you know, like one, you know, like alternating. But if he had any type of fear of heights, or if he was just like, I don't know if I'm feeling this, I would have definitely been like, look, I'll do it. I don't care. So then we do see it's not rappelling, but the teams actually have to walk across a plank that's 200 and I think 52 feet up in the air to retrieve a clue. And the plank is very, very narrow. It's narrow enough. You can put both of your feet side by side, but not, you know, you can't really have space between them. So something that's definitely going to be nerve wracking, especially if you are afraid of heights. The nerve wracking part of this challenge would, for me, wouldn't be just like walking across a plank. I would be like, oh my gosh, okay, but I'm strapped in. Like, I'm not going to die. I'll be fine. It's when you get to the end. The plank's not that long and it's not that far of a distance you have to walk. But when you get to the end of it, you have to untie the clue. And the clue is just like, it's like, you know, tied to like rope or something. So you have to like sit down or get down. That's where I kind of would have been like, oh my gosh, y'all, I am so clumsy. I'm gonna be like, oh my gosh, because you got to like really go down slowly. Like, you know, people sat down different ways to be able to do it. And I think that's the only part that would make me kind of nervous because I am clumsy and I'm like, I don't want to be like Humpty Dumpty and falling off the side. Did see a few of the teams that, you know, had more of a fear of heights, struggling a little bit of this. Adam was taking deep breaths. He was freaking out a little bit, but everybody got through it really well. Like I was really proud of them. No one had a complete meltdown or, you know, got stuck halfway. Like, I can't do this. I can't do this. Everybody, they just focused, locked in, and they just went ahead and did it. And it's one of those things that it's really rewarding when you're faced with something that's really challenging or that is scary or a fear or a phobia that you have. And before that moment, you really think, I can't do this. Like, no way. But you'd be surprised at what you actually can do when you put your mind to it and you push yourself. So that's one of the most beautiful things I love about these games and especially these challenges on The Amazing Race. After the plank challenge, the teams have to race to the Charles Bridge, which is known for having the most statues in the world, to retrieve their next clue that is going to take them to the detour. So for this detour, the two options they had to choose from was either delivering colored goblets to three different vendors or memorizing the names of, I think it was like 10 Czech villages and like their crests and reciting it to somebody. Already you could tell just by the way I'm saying that, I'm not doing that. Because who can do all of that? It just, the memorization when it comes to, you know, other languages, I mean, I think I could, I think I probably would be pretty decent at it, but comparing that to delivering goblets seems a lot simpler. Like, as long as you get good directions from whoever on the street, you'll be okay. So, and we saw that this episode with JJ. They flew through that detour like it was nobody's business. They were like, this is all that Phil's giving us to do. We got this. They loaded up them goblets and made sure they had all the right colors. They also were strategic when they did ask, you know, someone, a passerby on the street, for help with directions to make sure that they went in a linear path so that they're not backtracking and wasting time going from, you know, east to west or, you know, whatever, to make sure they just did it in one straight shot. So we saw them, you know, doing their thing, just flying through the challenge, making this race look so easy. Other two teams weren't too far behind them. And as JJ were finishing, it was like Natalie and Stephanie and was it Joseph and Adam? I think it was Joseph and Adam. They did kind of ask like, hey, you know, guys, like, where is it? And they did help them. They did give them, like, oh, just go this way or whatever. Um, Nice of them. Again, at this point in the game, although I do want to see them be more cutthroat, you're all the way at the front of the pack. You know that these other teams are way behind you. They hadn't seen anybody else all day. So it doesn't hurt to just point them in the right direction, I guess. What was really, really funny this episode and my favorite moment is Eric and Tucker. Okay. They're flying through Prague, right? They find the clue box that's for the pit stop before the detour. So they go one up to Phil, like, oh yeah, we checking in. Phil's like, boo, you gotta do your detour. You can't check in with me yet. And they're like, oh dang. How about they checked into that pit stop in fourth place, right? Or they didn't check in, but they made it to the pit stop and they would have been in fourth place. And Phil is like, you got to run that back and you got to go finish your detour. So they're like, dang, okay, let's do that. They go back, they do the detour, they stop and get ice cream and magnets. Okay. So they was like, let me just get a little treat and let me get a souvenir to bring home. And they still check back in for the pit stop in fourth place. And when I saw that, I'm thinking, how far behind are these other teams? Like, the time difference is wild because not only did they do the complete detour, they had to go all the way back, do a test, and then they stopped to get something to eat and buy souvenirs. They went shopping and then still check back in the same place. So I'm like, more power to you. I would have been a nervous wreck. I would have been like, no, we're not stopping for nothing. But I guess they wanted to try some Czech ice cream before they left. So it worked out for them. Also, what I found very interesting and impressive this season was when they got to Prague, how about Hannah and Simone are trying to find directions and out of nowhere, Miss Hannah starts speaking Czech like it's nothing. Okay, we already learned at the beginning of this episode that she went to boarding school for gifted children in her early teen years. I think she said when she was about 12. So doing this race is a way for her to make up lost time with her younger siblings. So I'm like, okay, she's already super smart, graduated from college at 19, like beauty brain. She got it all going on and she speaks Czech. What can she do? Nothing, apparently. I was like, what? Czech? It's so random, but she was talking with the guy. He gave her directions and she was like, all right, Simone, let's go. He said, let's go this way. I said, okay, I guess she understood. The girl speaks Czech, y'all. The first wave of teams that we see that arrive at the detour, they all choose to do handle with care, which is delivering the goblets to the 3 different vendors and getting a stamp and then getting the clue to move on. The second wave of teams that we have, they choose to do the memorization, pronunciation, the Czech villages. They decide to go that route. And I found that very interesting because they know they're towards the back of the pack and trying to, like memorize, especially language like that. I wasn't surprised that Hannah chose it because she already speaks Czech. Okay. That made sense for her and Simone to do it. But for everybody else, like, I don't know. It's just I feel like there's a greater margin for error because when you're reciting these different village names, if you get one wrong, if you get 5 wrong, you don't know what you get wrong. You just have to go back and just do it again. And it's in this restaurant, there's people talking. So trying to just like focus and concentrate is going to be a lot more difficult in that type of environment. But they all decided to go for it. I was surprised because to me, that one looked a lot harder than, okay, we got to take 4 goblets here and 4 blue goblets here and 3 yellow goblets there. Like, as long as you count up and you have the right color and you go outside and you get clear directions, you're going to be done. I just feel like the margin for error for that type of detour is much smaller. So that is definitely the one I would have chosen if I was racing. The most impressive team to do the Czech Village memorization detour was Paige and Izzy. Izzy made it a point. Let's do it one and done. Let's get it right. Because going back and forth, frustrated, and you don't really know what you got wrong, what you're pronouncing wrong, or which village, and having to memorize and sync them up with the right crest. It's different things. They've been traveling on these trains. They've been running around. They're tired. It's loud in the restaurant. There's all these other factors going on. They got it done on the first try. And I was like, yes, okay, queens. They got it done. Cleared that. It was really hard to watch Rubina and Christine because they kept trying over and over again, and they kept getting one crest name wrong, just one. But in doing this challenge, you don't know which one you're getting wrong. So you could see the frustration starting to mount, and they're comforting each other. So that was hard to watch, because all the time it happens in this game, it could be that one thing that trips you up, and all these teams start passing you and coming in and completing it, they came in later after you, and now they're completing it before you, and you realize you're getting more and more behind the pack, and then that pressure and that stress starts sinking in. Then next thing you know, you be going home. There was an interesting, or actually a very smart strategy that we saw employed by several of the teams. When one partner was going to recite their crest villages, the other would cover their ears to make sure that they're not getting confused, or anything. So I thought that was smart. Hannah and Simone also crushed this challenge. They get all of the village crests correct on their second attempt. And the first time, they only got one wrong, but I wasn't that surprised because Hannah already off break was speaking Czech. So I was like, okay, she's going to be good for this. Tucker and Eric get it correct on their sixth attempt. Jack and Chelsea get it correct on their seventh attempt. And after trying over and over and over and over and over again, Christina and Rubina pull it together and they get it on their 10th attempt. That's a long time. So for our finishes for episode 2, in first place, we have Jazz and Jag, duh. And they won a trip to Sri Lanka. Very nice. Second place was Joseph and Adam. Third place, Natalie and Stephanie. Fourth place, Tucker and Eric after stopping and getting ice cream. I still can't get over that. They still came in fourth place. Fifth place was Hannah and Simone. Sixth place is Izzy and Paige. Seventh place was Chelsea and Jack. Ninth place, again, I think they were in ninth place in the first round too. Kyland and Taylor. I kind of want to see them speed it up a little bit, and get up to the top of the pack. 10th place, Kat and Alex. 11th place, Matt and Megan. And unfortunately, we had to say goodbye to our drama mama, Angela, and her daughter, Lexi. They came in last place. And I was so sad because, like I said, Angela is very entertaining to watch. I felt like her and her daughter would have had a blast on this show. And Matt and Megan, they're just not doing it for me. I feel like they're going through this race and they don't have as much of a sense of, like, I don't know, maybe urgency. I know some people are more laid back, and that can also be an asset. That can also be a strength, being able to keep your head cool and, not like freaking out and being all over the place. But still, I want them to have more oomph. I want them to really want this. So I don't know. I was sad to lose Angela and Lexi. I definitely thought they were going to stay in much longer. Matt and Megan, if they don't kick their butts into gear, they're going to be going home episode 3. That's it. Or 4 by the latest. But I don't know. They're a little lackadaisical to me. I don't know if anybody else is feeling that vibe from them, but I don't know. I don't see them really making it very far, or being like, really competitive or making cutthroat decisions or anything like that. But they're still in the game for now. So we'll see. Can't wait for episode 3.